We are starting a new regular segment here on North Dakota Today where we're going to check in with Fargo Police. We're calling it Behind the Badge. We're going to get some advice on keeping our families safe.
I love this new segment, so great idea, because I think it's yours. Today we've got Jessica Schindeldecker with us. She's Crime and Prevention and Public Information Officer to talk about vehicle thefts and garage break-ins. Great to have you on the show this morning.
We're glad to be here.
Okay, well, that was the topic that we were going to get to, but as you were talking to her in the break, and I warned you, I said, okay, I feel like, you know, as newsies, there was breaking news overnight. There was a deadly shooting overnight in Fargo, in case people were not up early. What can you tell us as to what happened and what you're releasing at this point?
Sure, still a very active and rolling on investigation. So what we do know at this time is that around 1 o'clock a.m. we got calls into dispatch for a report of gunshots and a male who had been shot. We responded and the male was transported to a local hospital where he did succumb to his injuries. So we're continuing to investigate that as a homicide. We have several persons of interest who are being detained and questioned in regards to this incident.
And we're showing some video from overnight right now. We were live all morning on the Valley Today, but talk just briefly about the size of this crime scene. This is a huge area blocked off. Is it still blocked off?
You know, so as the crime scenes were closed or as things developed and new crime scenes were found, they were investigated, and that's where the crime scene tape would be. And our officers and detectives were then, once they cleared that crime scene, then would move on and close that off. So there were several different areas at different parts of throughout the night. So this started at about 1 a.m. and we still have people out there right now.
This stuff is fascinating to our audience and to myself as well. So as you say, you close off the crime scene, but then there's obviously them. So what makes you have such an expansive crime scene out of the gate when a person's been deceased and shot?
Sure. A lot of time what happens when we're responding to these incidents is you know that there was gunshots and you know possibly where somebody might, or suspect or suspects may have fled, and we have to have a perimeter that surrounds that area to try to encapsulate them so they're not able to either get away or something like that. And also there are maybe multiple areas where we might find evidence or parts of that where that crime had occurred, or such as tonight or early this morning we had a canine track that led us to a residence in the area, which expanded that perimeter.
Okay, and so I know you did tell us you're not releasing the name of the victim yet. If people are watching right now and they're like, oh my goodness, do I need to be worried for my safety? Because that question's out there. You
know, it's almost a double-edged sword though type of question, because you can't predict human behavior. I always tell the people that. However, because somebody is capable of doing such a horrendous crime, you should always be on your toes and report any sort of suspicious activity to us so we can investigate it.
Let me ask you this way. Do you have a firearm in your possession now from this crime scene?
Do I have one right now?
Not you, but I mean, do the Fargo police have a firearm in their possession?
I don't have that information to release at this time.
Okay, well, stay with Valley News Live throughout the day. We have a team still covering this story, and of course online as well. Thank you so much for that update. I know you said you couldn't say too much yet, but we still had to ask some of the questions. And going back to, it's hard to go from a deadly shooting, but you know, there are other crimes that are happening in Fargo as well, and it affects your security and your safety. And we want to talk about vehicle break-ins right now. Are you seeing an increase? And in what areas are you seeing this?
All over the city. So vehicle break-ins and vehicle thefts. So vehicle thefts for this whole year are up. As of our last stat period of May 19th, we had 113 vehicle thefts. Now that number also includes unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. So let's say you gave keys to somebody and then they decided not to bring it back, or they think that they normally have access to it and then they'll bring it back, or they won't bring it back. So, and that was a 28% increase compared to that time frame last year. And since May 19th, an additional 15 vehicles have been reported stolen, bringing it up to a grand total of 148.
Wow. What are we seeing here? You sent over some different maps.
So what this does is this is going off of our crime data, which is for stolen vehicles, which does also include unauthorized use. And so it shows you that it's not just happening in one particular area of the city. And what's really common with a vast majority of these thefts is that there are common factors of they were unlocked and or running with the keys in it. So these are crimes of opportunity. These are 100% preventable thefts. So we really have to be diligent in making sure that we're locking our vehicles, removing our keys, and there's no such thing as running in real quick to make a quick errand, because that's exactly when it's happening.
When I talked to Chief Todd, how much do you attribute the increase in like garage break-ins and things like to the drug situation happening here with addicts just trying to find things to pawn and
Yeah, there's definitely a correlation, especially from theft from vehicles, where we're seeing people going into vehicles and then going and pawning things. And those are really difficult crimes to solve, because a lot of times they're happening when people don't see, or there's no cameras to prove that. And unless we can find that property being pawned by that person or in their possession, it's really hard to be able to prosecute that.
Okay, huge increase. That's a big percentage increase. So
Yes.
it's just an eye opener for people. You know, we think we're a small town, we're safe, and we are safe. But,
Yes,
but
yeah.
lock your doors.
Absolutely. It's better be safe than sorry.
Jessica,
Can we
thank
do
you
this
so
every
much for
day now?
coming
Can you
in.
come back Monday too?
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate
Yes.
it. All right, stay with us. Coming up next, a young girl with a big heart shares her story of giving.